Hi everyone, welcome to this Hot Dice episode where we're doing grimdark black Templars. So it's going to be really interesting tutorial. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. You can see here. It's really effective look that I've done with basic, like maybe 5 colours max, and then some enamel washes. So don't be frightened of those. If you've seen my other videos, you're already familiar with them. If you haven't used them, stick around, see whether they're for you. But basically this video is split into 2 sections. So the first bit is your speed painting, really easy, effective, weathered Black Templar. And then you can stop there and do your whole army like that and it'll look great on the tabletop. Or you can move on to the second stage, which is just applying the enamel washes and get the really weathered look. So in this video, I'm using this miniature. So I've converted this one with some spare spacemarines, what they called Stormcast Eternals that I had from an Easy Start kit a few years ago. If you see one of my other videos, which was the first time I did the grimdark effect, you can have a look there. But I was left with some arms and some shields, and because this is Black Templar, I kind of wanted to go for that crusadery look, and I took some of the old shields off the Stormcasts. So I just scraped off all the decals, got some green stuff inside where there's recesses and I didn't want them, and they just shamelessly stole the hammer for the right arm. So anyway, that's the model I'll be using. Let's just get started. Okay, so jumping straight in, I've got this model here that I've already put a thin layer of black paint onto. This isn't 100% necessary. I mean, you could just use a black spray can if you wanted. The idea is here I'm controlling the layers, they're nice and thin. I'm actually using a thin Model Air black here. And the reason I'm painting it on is if I make any mistakes later, I can go back over with the same black. Because the black spray is very different to the black Citadel blacks. Black spray is different. So then what we're going to do is try and bring out the highlights. So I've got very little of a grey. It doesn't matter what grey you got here. I'm using a dark sea grey from Vallejo, but I'm using very little. I've got a piece of tissue there with some grey, and I'm just brushing over the edges to try and bring up the highlights. My light here is very bright, which is making it look like the grey is going on quite heavy. I can assure you it isn't. I want to make sure this is as little as possible. So once I'm happy with that, and then I'm going to go wait for it to dry and go over with an equally low amount of grey on my brush. Try and bring out the areas of detail that I feel like I've missed, especially on the upper edges, so brushing down. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so to work on the shield, I've gone for a base, Wraithbone. Here I'm just going straight on with it onto the flat areas, so it's going to be going onto the shields, it's going to be going onto the shoulder pads eventually, and just trying not to put it on too thick so it's watered down on my palette there, and get all the areas that I can. But the beauty of using this technique is you're going to get the depth of colours without actually doing any blending, without doing any advanced techniques. The enamel washes, if you apply them, will do all of that for you. Now, if you are just watching this for the basic steps, you don't need to use enamel washes. You could probably just use Agrap's Earthshade and that would work just as well, for creating a tonally different look on the shoulder pads and shields. But for this video, to get that real grimdark look, I feel like the enamel washes are just the best. Careful not to get it on the black that I've just dry brushed. And there we go, quite serviceable. So try and bring out all the silver now. I've got lead belcher base. Don't want too much of it because what I'm going to be doing is this is going to give you the weathered effect. Got some old foam from inside the Citadel carry cases. Trying to get as little on that foam as possible, especially on the first run. And I'm going to get it wherever I can put it on the raised areas, especially knee pads, the top edges of armour, the feet, maybe the top of the helmet. Just try and catch the areas. Less is more. That basically brings us to what it looked like when it's done. I mean, this is great tabletop standard. If you wanted to stop here, you could probably add some decals and away you go, really. But it's not enough. me. So I'm going to try and paint on the Maltese cross of the Black Templars. I don't have any transfers, unfortunately, because this was part of like a starter set I got these mod miniatures in. This is a test model for me to see if I want to do Black Templars. The answer is I do want to do Black Templars. So really careful. I've got really unsteady hands, and I guess the one advantage I found doing this is because I've gone straight Wraithbone, there's no blending there underneath this black. If I make a mistake, I can just go straight over the edges again with the Wraithbone. Trying to keep the paint nice and thin, so it's more like drawing it on. I can just do more layers later. But relatively easy, nice big flat surface. I was dreading doing this. Turned out not to be too difficult in the end. So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, how do I want to? What else do I want to do on this model? Do I want to put some scripture on there? Try and make it look like lines. So if you see my Sisters of Battle video, there was a lot of scrolls where I got to paint on little bits of words and lettering on things. I think I really liked it. It really adds to the grimdark look, because at the moment it's all very clean, straight lines. So. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go in with the lead belcher on the actual metallic parts now, rather than just the weathering. So I'm going to go under the backpack to add some interest, just a bit of contrast from the plain black. Nice and careful not to get into the areas I've already covered. Again, if you do get them, it's not the end of the world, that's why we painted it black. You just need to go in again and do the dry brushing and the stippling of the metallics. But I'm just picking out the nice easy raised areas on purpose, so the chances of failure are pretty slim, hopefully. Onto the chest. I don't want to put gold on this model because I feel there's the golden rule of 3 colours generally for design generally. If you put too many colours on your model, it's going to start looking a mess. It's going to start looking unrealistic, or it's going to be garish. And then I'm going to go for the hammer. The same reason I was thinking about putting gold on the hammer, but no, I think you want to go for the grimdark realism. But just think about it, it's going to be hard wearing metals, so there we go. Pretty happy with that. So that's the basics done. So while this is tabletop standard, you probably put a black wash all over it and it's good to go. I've seen this cool thing on Instagram. I've got an Instagram page where I'm usually engaging with the community, looking for new ideas and sharing ideas. So I saw this great idea where you put a light Maltese cross on the face. And I thought I have to try this. So this is my attempt. It was a little bit easier than I thought, actually. I took a really fine brush, very little paint on the brush because it is a base, so base paints do tend to eat up detail. Just being really careful. Let the brush do the work. Maltese cross has like 2 peaks at the top of the cross and the edges of the cross, I should say. So working from the outside in seems to be the easiest way to do it. The scroll on the shield, I didn't want to go for Wraithbone again. I needed some contrast. I wasn't really happy with the tone I've gone for here, this grey, but I think my hands were tied a little bit. Like I said earlier, I don't want to be putting too many colours on here. I could have tried a stone effect, but this is I want to make this a quick, repeatable effect that I can do across a whole army. So that's the basics done. And now we're onto the enamel washes. The winter streaking grime I'm using here from AK Interactive. Putting this on liberally. What I'm trying to get here is, as I'm doing it, I want to create pooling, which is the opposite of what you want with washes. I know. I want to put it in and get that dappled look, so it looks grainy, it looks textured, and that's why I'm kind of dappling it on. I'm kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm kind of just introducing it to the model rather than brushing it over. I'm going to put this on all the areas where I want to get in more detail. It's all the metallics, so on and so forth. So where I want to take away some of the shine, I'm going in with a black wash, with the contrast paint here actually. And you can see really clearly here how blue this wash is. So it's not really a black at all. Maybe they found it difficult to do a contrast paint with black pigments, but I'm going to have to go in over the top of this with either the winter streaking grime or a black wash, an ink of some kind. So that's all dry now, and I'm going in with the white spirits to lift it. And like I said, I've done some work with the dappling. I don't want to take too much of that away, so I'm just going to take it away by dappling on the white spirit again. This will give me almost like a layered look. This gives you a natural patina, natural weathering, and already it's starting to look like it's pro level weathering. Yeah, it's looking great. I'm looking at that metal part on the shield there. That's going to need, I'm probably going to have to go over that with the winter streaking grime as well to tie it in with the rest of the model and get rid of that blue tinge. Okay, now for the highlights. So I'm going to go over the, because I've obviously put the contrasts on, I'm just going to bring out the edges with the lead belcher. Or paint over, leave some of the recesses. Highlight the cross, put a little bit of white in the wraith bone. The reason I'm kind of jumping from step to step here is because I'm trying to be as economic with my time as possible. So I've done that bit. I want to go on to a bit that's dry there. And you can see here, this is taken after I've applied the enamel wash to the metallics, and it looks orders of magnitude better. It looks so much better. And now I'm just highlighting around the cross with the wraith bone to highlight that area. Clean this up a little bit because I'm going to want to put a bit of lettering on there, take off some of the wash I've put on the metallics. Again, doing that stippling. And I've actually put some on the gloves. So the gloves were black, the same as the rest of the model, but because I've put the brown wash over there, now it gives it a slightly brown look to the gloves. And because it's tonally the same as the rest of the weathering, it looks doesn't look out of place. It looks great. So if you haven't seen my other videos where I'm using the washes, you can see I'm taking it off quite easy. You can take off the washes just as easily as you put them on with the white spirits. It's great. So I'm cautiously applying some dark colours here. I think I can, I'm just putting a purple in there, but I think I'm going to be able to basically go over that with a contrast paint and mute it down to tighten the rest of the model. And then just black in all the recesses. Just to create contrast. Otherwise it's going to look really flat. So contrast in the knees, recesses on the eyes, the grill of the face, around the edges. I'm basically creating shading. I'm applying it where there'd be less light. Okay, I'm happy with the model as it stands. While it's all drying, I'm going to put some of this technical astrogranite debris on the ground. So this is an experiment. Normally I make my own bases. You see one of my videos where I made out of plastic card. But here I had some of this I found in a drawer somewhere. It's not something I'd recommend for a whole army. I mean, it's so expensive. Army-wide, you'd be mad. And then paint onto the eyes. And then onto the eyes, a bit of red. I've seen lots of different eye colours for Space Marines, but I think the red works best for the Black Templars. So I'm going in really watery. My sausage fingers struggle with eyes generally, but if I go watery with the red, I can actually go over the lines, and that creates the glowing effect. So I'm going red, and I'm going over the rim, and then with the red, the corn red I've used, and then slowly applying more and more Troll Slayer orange into the mix, and that's slowly going in towards the centre of the eye lens. Each time I'm getting more and more precise until I'm applying pure Troll Slayer orange to the centre of the eye lens. So I've put enamel washes down onto the granite effect, and that's tied it in with the rest of the model. I think that's really important to tie the base to the model, especially with weathering, because you've got to think, if it's getting dirty, how is it getting dirty? Why is it the colour it is? So that really helps create this story. It sets the model in the scene. So just getting the pouches with the dark brown, any dark brown will do it, and because it's the darkest brown I could get, I'm actually going to use that as a highlight for the gloves. Again, it all looks, these all look really harsh under this bright light, but a wash Agrax Earthshade over the top just completely mutes it again, or even straight away over again with the enamel washes if you want. There's less risk with the enamel washes, like I said, because you can just take them off again after. Just getting the edges. Happy with that. That's a good one. So now we're going to be using something called dirt and dust deposits. So this is an enamel one as well. So I'm being really liberal, putting more on at the bottom. So what this is going to do is it's going to dry the really matte, dusty look. Obviously I want more at the bottom and gradually going up the model less and less and less. And because it's an enamel wash, it will come off with white spirits again. So I can be as liberal as you like at the beginning and take it off if I put too much on later. Trying to get along the top of the edges of the boot. That's where you're going to get most of the grime. Go over the top of the knee pad, and you can see it's so relaxing using this stuff because I'm just going in, and I know I can take it out if I want to. I'm not worried about losing any of the detail, any of the effort I've put in. I'm just thinking about where is it going to settle roughly, and putting it on. Now, once I've waited for it to dry, you don't have to wait for it to dry, I'm going in with the white spirits. Just very little white spirit actually, because I want to leave some in the recesses, and the white spirits will try and pool. And what this does is actually, the white spirit pools, but it will drag the wash or the dust and deposits effect with it. You'll get a more natural settling. This is only capturing a moment when I'm doing this, but obviously I'm going back and forth and think, oh, I've taken too much off, I've put more on, I've put too little on, I've put more on. It's really fluid, organic process, and that's why I love working with this medium. And like I said earlier, and because I want the whole model to look set in its place, yes, the winter streaking grime looks great, because it matches the whole model, but I also wanted to do the same with the dust. Okay, so there we go. That's the whole process from start to finish. Like I said, you saw there was a stage there in the middle where you could stop. There's your tabletop standard, or you could continue. It's a little bit longer. It's not a long process either way, and the results, I think I'm really pleased with them. I think it's one of the better miniatures I've ever done. So let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see in Grimdark. All right, thanks for watching Hot Dice. See you next time.